Okay, now I'm going to change the belt on this scooter. This is my wife's scooter. I'll have to loosen one bolt and a couple of screws up here so this cowling will flex out. Remove the kickstand first and the bolts around the cover. Be careful with the bolts. There's I believe there's four different lengths. The two longest are in the rear. The very longest is here. The second longest is there. A little longer than normal here. And a real short one on this plate. So you really should lay them out as you take them out. I already know where they go, so. But anyway, I'm gonna pause here and take the cowling off. Okay, I've taken the cowling, just the rear of it loose, so the cover will clear. By the way, this video is going to be focused on the Kickstarter, because it seems like a lot of people have trouble with it, including me. So we'll see if I can figure it out. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I removed two screws and a metric bolt. That's probably a 6 or an 8 millimeter with got a 10 millimeter head in it. They went on the side here. So here we go with the cover. Okay, I removed the Kickstarter pedal, or whatever you want to call it, and then I actually took it up to I had to widen the gap a little bit to get it off. Sprayed some WD-40 on it, and then I actually took it up to my workshop and widened it just a little more. And I also put a little notch here, just tapped it with a chisel and a hammer so I know exactly where it went. That's only because I've never figured these out yet, so that's that. That's got to come off before you pull the cover. Okay, now I've already taken the bolts out. There are 11 bolts that have to come out. They're all have 8 millimeter heads on them, and you only take the ones out that fasten the cover to the case. These other ones, if you can see them, they don't come out. I've already started the case. I usually slip a little screwdriver back here, there's a little notch, get it started. Now I'm going to try carefully to pull this one off without screwing up the Kickstarter like I did my other one. It came off with it. So far so good. There goes my dog. Okay, that was actually the UPS driver. My dog loves to bark at him. See how we're doing here. This has got to clear this. Yeah, this is why you have to take this off. Okay, so there's another shaft that goes in here. I think that should stay on here. I know that from my other bike. So, okay, I'll take this variator off and we'll take a closer look at the kickstand. Okay, I want to show you this belt. This is the belt I just took off. It's ready to go. It looks pretty good unless you look at that one crack, and once that goes, the whole thing flies apart, disintegrates. Now this scooter has about 1,100 miles on it. Probably would have lasted another 400 or 500 maybe. And it's the original Chinese belt. I highly recommend you get a Kevlar belt. Anyway, let's move on to the kickstand. Kickstarter, I keep saying kickstand, Kickstarter. Okay, there you can get a good view of how the starter sits in there. This one has not been moved. problem, as you can probably see, is their tension pulls this backwards. And when you put the cover back on, it's got to go back straight and be parallel with this. And that's not always so easy. So I think that's where most people have their problem with this thing. And if I have too much trouble, I will just take the Kickstarter off too. But at least you can see where it goes. Let me get the handle here, see if I can move it a little bit without wrecking everything. Okay, it goes, there's, oops. Okay, there's a line here which lines up with this thing, with this shaft, and there's also no teeth there, which means you couldn't put it up further if you wanted to. Then it's got to stop over here, so you can't go anywhere past that. Like I said, the problem is getting the case put back on with this being parallel with this shaft. So I'm going to try when I replace the belt, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I cleaned stuff up, everything up. I'll take one more look at this Kickstarter. The spring goes right underneath this aluminum piece on the case. And this is just a keeper to help keep it from coming out. But the spring, if the spring is off or the whole starter assembly is off, just take this bracket off. This spring will hook on the gear, half gear, and just use a pair of pliers and bring it over and push it in and put the keeper back on. That's the easy part. Okay, so in case you're not familiar with the variator, there's weights. There's weights in it, 6 weights. The FedEx this time. There's 6 weights. They go in at roller weights. And then there's a cover that goes on. Make sure the little nylon things are, the square nylon things are there. It goes on top. Then there's a shaft, and this should slip back and forth. And this should slip back and forth. You can see that, and it goes on here. Okay. The belt I'm about to put on is a Kevlar belt, which is a lot better than the Chinese belt that came with the scooter. I would recommend never buying a Chinese belt. You can pick them up for $8 or $10 anywhere. Kevlar belt is around 20. There also the Gates standard belt is not too bad. And this particular belt, which is usually on the long case for the Chinese scooters, 842 2030. That's 842 millimeters length, 20 millimeters width, and 30 degrees angle on the belt here. Now this is the way I put my belt on. I put it over the bushing there in the front, and then I put on the fan, the outer pulley, I guess. It's on the variator. There's a popular YouTube where you can just pull the rear clutch out. It's fine if you're strong enough to do it, but I've got a standard spring on this, and it's pretty hard for me to get it out. So I just do this. I have an impact wrench. Of course, on the road, I'm not sure what I would do. So we'll tighten that up. Okay, now I'm going to use the impact wrench to get the fan on the variator. Put the gun in forward. Then you need to move it a little bit. Well, hold on. Actually, should move the whole thing so the belt has a chance to get in the middle. It'll fix itself if you start it, which is what I'll probably do. over tighten this, but you want to make sure it's tight enough. It's not moving, so it's tight enough. Now there's two of these little guides that help align the case, but they fall out easily. In fact, I've got one in my hand. The other one's on the front near the bottom, so I'll just slip this back in. Now this is the front of the case, just leaning up against the bike. There's a little filter that goes in there. Now it comes with a piece of foam. As you can see that when the foam is out. Now I'm not going to put it back because the foam gets full of dust in no time, and then your your CV case starts to overheat. At least for me. I don't know if it's I don't want to recommend it to everybody, but that's what I do. And then I just leave the grill there to prevent rocks, large things to get in from getting in there. Okay, I'm going to try putting this case on, cover on, and see if the Kickstarter still works. Like I said, the problem is it tilts backwards because it's spring loaded, and to get this and that to align is a problem. And that is why I'm sure a lot of people have trouble with the Kickstarter, including myself. Okay, it looks like we might have got it. I'm going to put it on pause and put a few bolts in. Okay, after 2 attempts, it doesn't work. It binds up and jams. So, I'm going to take the starter out like I did on my bike. I wish somebody would post on YouTube how to fix these things, but obviously I'm doing something wrong. So anyway, to take it out, just loosen this keeper for the spring. I saved the parts, so I might be able, maybe someday I'll fix it. Keep this little thing, and then the whole gizmo comes off. This is the way you would, if you were going to leave it in, you hook this spring over there, and you just wind this over and hook it underneath that tab. But I guess I'll just carry an extra starter with me. So that's how you remove it. You can take this out too, but there's really no need to. I mean, the thing weighs a few ounces, so then you put the cover on and hope your electric starter works. Oh yeah, don't forget to take this bushing out of here, the other part of the starter, because it might fall out. I'm sure it will fall out and get in your belt tube. Okay, so there you go. If you want to fix your Kickstarter, I guess you'll have to wait till somebody else posts a video on how to do it. There you go. How to change a belt, but not have the Kickstarter when you're done. Have a good day. From Mountain Dave. Okay, one last thing on the Kickstarter thing. The first time I put it together, I left the gasket off, which I don't see any reason for it to be there. Is just air going through here. There's no oil in there. It's just kind of a ridiculous thing to have in there. But anyway, the starter felt like it was binding. So maybe the cover was too tight because of the missing gasket. Maybe, just maybe, the secret is either putting the gasket back on or taking enough off of this bearing to where the same amount as the thickness of this gasket. So, or I said bearing, I mean bushing. So I think I'll use my micrometer, check the thickness of this gasket, take the same amount off of this bushing, and try it again another day. Certainly not today. So if I find anything out, I'll let you know. Once again, goodbye from Mountain Dave.